Hello. Hello, hey. Good evening. Morning, noon, night. Whatever it may be, depending on your time zones. Welcome to the stream. Hi, guys. Welcome to another Saturday Chill stream. Stream where we go to my watch later list and pick random videos to watch to try to clear it out because I've added way too many videos. So anywho, how you guys doing today? Why is my bitrate showing that it's bad? Ugh, whatever. Maybe it'll clear up soon.
Howdy.
Oh, first time chatter, Dark does cosplays. Hey, oh, you're one of my recent followers. Hey, thanks for the follow. Alrighty. Go ahead and get this set up. Okay then, let's get our music off and we'll start with this.
I might not be awake for long as 1 AM in the UK, but promised I'd be in a stream when you joined mine, and finally I'm here.
Well, thank you, thank you. Can we hear it? Hang on, we can't hear it. Why can't we hear it? Uh-huh. Hold on a second. Is there something wrong with the video, or...? Hang on. I hope it's not one of those... It's an old video. I hope it's not one of those that got, like, muted or something. Hang on. Because the volume's all the way up. And the headphones are on the right channel. Oh. There we go. Maybe it'll work now. My sound mixer didn't have it set. Yes, I hear it now. It's very quiet, but I hear it now.
There's always been makeup effects one way or the other. Every time you see a trick of some sort in the screen, like a monster, somebody had to design it, make it up, make it work. And throughout the years, it's evolved along with cinema.
Creative people like to go beyond the real into the surreal and into the imaginative. When you go beyond the real world and show an audience something beyond what they can imagine, that's a pretty exciting and fantastic thing.
There is an enormous power of a human being in a mask, and it goes way back into our ancient history, because the humanity is in there, but you can't quite tell what it's feeling, and it has this shield against you.
I mean, if you can find something that, where you look in the mirror and you go, ah, that's it. You know, I mean, that's the beauty of prosthetics.
Growing up, I was obsessed with making effects. And in fact, I remember at my bar mitzvah, I was sawing half with a chainsaw.
Okay. Oh! That's you, Bobby! Dark does cosplays. That's you! I'm sorry. Yeah! I'm glad you finally were able to catch a stream. I hope you have fun.
You know, I think a lot of people don't think about the fact that when you watch mainstream movies, there are makeup
JDJDJCNFHCHHHD.
You have something as simple as out-of-the-kit makeups. You have prosthetics that can either age someone,
Yeah,
make them
Bobby.
fat, make them look like a creature. Then you also get into a whole other aspect, which is fake bodies, animatronics, puppetry, fake animals, a fake beagle from Underdog. We've done everything from bodies being electrocuted in the Green Mile to a fat suit on Mike Myers for Austin Powers. So every single film offers a different challenge and a new challenge.
Underdog is a good movie.
I've been friends with Richard Taylor from Weta forever.
How about some Butterfingers? For some reason, I've been on a Butterfinger kick lately.
Like immersed in that world. What happened was Richard Taylor had been approached about doing Narnia. He was in the middle of King Kong and he said, listen, you should call K&B, talk to Howard, talk to Greg. Those guys would certainly be up for the challenge, if nothing else.
We had 6 months to prep, and I was off with the crew to New Zealand for 9 months.
Narnia, we were responsible for building an army. Actually,
We don't have them here.
warring creatures.
I think I had them once.
A lot of big projects.
Oh, well, they're
25 years
good.
I've done this, and
Even though the peanut brittle inside does kind
You
of
deal
get
with a movie
stuck
like
to your
Chronicles of
teeth.
Narnia, and there's 100
For some
people
reason, I
in
still
fawn
can't
makeup,
resist 'em.
Centaur makeup, satyr makeup. It was such a daunting, overwhelming task.
The genius of
I would not have the patience for that, where they have to go in and individually put in the little hairs like that.
really close to me and stare at it.
Man,
She'll never
that is such tedious work that needs a lot of patience.
see where I start. You really start to enter that Narnia world, that fantasy world, when you start putting on this armor and this makeup.
We had cast James really late in the game.
Ah, that'll be why. It's weird I love peanut butter but hate peanut butter style bars.
Huh.
I was terrified. I was losing sleep up until that point. It was the very first thing we shot was Mr. Tumnus for us. But finally, once Andrew said, that's it, we nailed it. I was like, oh, thank goodness.
Sorry, I had to finish chewing. That's like me with, like cinnamon or coconut.
In fact,
Like coconut, I love the scent of it, and I like it when it's a flavor of things, like drinks or whatever. Coconut itself, the actual coconut, I hate it.
Lift it up and it starts smoking. It's very Fellini.
And then with like cinnamon,
They loved the books, and they were just excited the fact that I got called
I like the
to
smell of
see
cinnamon, and I like it
Up to this point, there's nothing that I've worked on at all.
on like
Which is
the
kinda
actual
sad,
cinnamon,
you know,
spice on
Sorry, guys, you can't go see
baked goods and stuff.
The animals in Narnia just...
I hate like artificial cinnamon flavored things, like oh my gosh, the cinnamon toothpaste or that cinnamon gum. Ugh, like Big Red. Ugh, hate it.
I remember hating cinnamon when I was a kid. Now I love it.
From that, of course, nominations. the BAFTAs,
I used to
the
love
Oscars.
Dr. Pepper. No, it was root beer. Root beer. I used to love root beer all the time as a kid. Now I can't stand it. It's weird how your taste changes like that when you get older. Like, I don't really like sweet stuff all that much. I like it to be
I
a little
really
more
enjoy
mellow sweet.
He's
Not
a
like
great
sweet,
visionary,
sweet.
And I think that he's a demanding director, as every other director that I've ever worked with is. They want the best.
The challenge with Michael Bay is that he likes to see as much stuff real in front of the camera as humanly possible. We actually made, I think, about 160 bodies on that movie all told. From the room where all the bodies getting educated with all the different TV screens. And then there was the pod room.
I hope I don't get in trouble for that. They're not real. They're fake, but I hope I don't get in trouble for that. I didn't know that was coming.
So we wanted to be able to see how these bodies were created from the inside out.
And we had bodies that were literally just like a heart and a beating circulatory
I won't
system
tell.
with human shape inside a sealed plastic
They're
bag
fake bodies.
filled
They're
with
not
water.
real people.
And we made partially clear intestines, hearts, and things like that we actually put
Which
inside
also
that.
for the
So
gore
you
warning, this
basically
is
had
not real
physical,
gore.
fully
This is
see-through
fake
body.
bodies. These are
And
like
then the last
prosthetics
minute
and
we
stuff.
gotta actually add in
Puppets.
some movement, which we couldn't quite figure out how to do.
I
that
should
with
have
the
a
plastic bag.
hand on my
But
little
we,
character here in
ran
case I need to
stuff with the
slide
umbilical
up and
to make it look
block
like they were
something.
sucking their thumbs and things like that.
Everything had to be lit from below. I mean, if it was just lit from above, you would have never seen any of the details. If we wanted everything to look translucent, the only way you could tell if it's translucent is if there's light shining through it. So we had these plastic bins with lights in them, and then we'd sit the bodies on them, and then we'd have to fill the plastic containers with water. So basically we're submerging them, and then we'd bleed all the air out, and then screw the caps on, and with a tube, suck the rest of the air out, so that we didn't have
Whoa.
bubbles in it. It was like giant breast implants with bodies inside.
Transformers. What our assignment was on that was to come up with a frenzy puppet, which had 6 different names before we started doing it because the script was top secret half the time. And we had to figure out a way how to make this computer design puppet that when you design stuff in a computer, it's not really taking into account a lot of things.
Friend of mine literally had to put fake body on a TikTok cause a cosplay showed a bit of boob.
Wow. Not a bit of boob.
So we started talking about it, and I said, well, you know what? If this is a big CGI movie anyway, we could get a lot more life out of this puppet if we made it a rod puppet. So basically, you're taking rods out of the corners of the elbows, out of the back of the head, so that you have puppeteers.
And she got shadow banned.
More dramatic
Oh my
movement,
gosh.
a larger range of movement. So we got on set, and Michael saw that.
You're starting to scare me here. Like I said, I hope nobody flags my stream or whatever.
And I can shoot that, and I can do a lot more with it. And it gave him a tool.
We had a remote control, cable operated frenzy puppet, and they used it a lot in the film, and it's actually cut directly.
But like it was the character, lady from DMC.
Ultimately, our job is you got to provide
Lady, yeah.
the director with as many tools.
Lady,
the directors.
when you're with me, I'm smiling.
And the brush. And maybe
Sorry.
you can palette, maybe this. All of a sudden, if you're
Whoa,
giving
whoa,
the director
whoa,
more tools for him to do
whoa.
a better job, then he can paint a better picture.
CG or not CG? That is
I
the
know
question.
Darabont for years had been planning to do The Mist. He'd written the script, and it was on again, off again for at least 10, 15 years.
So initially, the film was a higher budgeted movie, but a lot of studio people were concerned about the end of the film, which was a very strong ending, a very bold ending, which a lot of people, myself included, respect Frank for sticking to his creative guns. This was a movie he wanted to make.
And he finally got the chance to do it, but it was on a very limited budget.
I mean, we shot that whole film in 36 days.
That was part of the pleasure of this particular exercise.
Soon people might have to put fake body on their TikTok description if they show too much ankle. Maybe.
Gosh, I hope not.
Rather than pretending you're making.
We're already worried about the internet going too Puritan.
Let's really make a low budget horror.
I love that it's got a 50 cent.
Let's not give them any ideas.
It feels very timeless. And yet
The Mist is a
supposed to
wonderful
take
movie.
place today.
It's a fantastic movie.
Frank had always had the intention that it was going to be a heavy CGI movie, but that he wanted to augment with puppet pieces and have us design everything and build it, and then the visual effects people would take their cue off of what we were designing and building.
Ooh!
He played with those ideas that the tentacles would unfurl and there'd be these little hooks, and the hooks would actually grab and pull the meat in, and then there's these little sea anemone mouths.
Challenge
Oh, that poor kid.
because the effects on that were a combination of some can-be practical stuff and a lot of really excellent CGI work from After Effects.
What is the movie?
And the real
Might have
challenge
not
there
been
was
paying as much attention in beginning,
effects and the computer
but the
effects,
effects look good.
in a happy way.
It's The Mist.
Of my personal contributions to the Mist, I think the most unusual contribution was I was what they called the green hand. They painted my hand green, and they put ingenious little cable ties that they cut at angles. And my job was to, simulate the tentacle coming in, and then going right above the actor's chest, which had a big balloon of blood. And I would grab it and pop it and pull all the flesh off, and that got replaced with the CGI tentacles. Everyone knew that it was blood time when I showed up with a big green arm, walking around and going, "Hey, blood today, huh, Shannon? Yeah, arm's green. That means we're gonna do some blood today."
Oh, that poor kid.
CG's wonderful in this. The technology is fantastic and ever growing. But I think
Simon
sometimes
Pegg!
It's overused, and where it's really good is where it just augments what already exists.
I like the stuff in front of the camera. I like it in camera, which is becoming less used.
I'm like one of those people who actually
LOL looks like Piccolo jumping in to grab something.
I still do.
Oh, the little green sleeve he had to wear, yeah.
But there's a fine line with it because its capabilities are limited. You can't really have something flying down a supermarket aisle as an animatronic creature and have it really be believable. You're really much better off with computer graphics.
Also, too, combining it with live action.
I don't mind using CG.
Simon
as
Pegg,
long
I've
as-
been watching him since his first comedies.
Yeah, he's
In
awesome.
the room in front of the camera.
But yeah,
it's undeniably there. And the
I don't mind
audience
CG as
oddly
long as you're
enough,
also, if
knows
they're
that
working in
too.
tandem
Until
with
CG becomes
practical
utterly
effects.
convincing as a physical presence. I think physical effects will always be better just because they have a presence and a solidity to them, which CG as yet can't quite duplicate.
I was on the set of a movie that was doing a comic book, and they were doing it in motion capture. So the actors with all the stuff attached to them and doing all this stuff, and you're seeing these cartoon characters respond. So I was talking to the director, and he was saying, he goes, "Yeah, you see a thing like this, you can really do a graphic novel or a comic book exactly the way it was done. Like if you want to do Bernie Wrightson's Frankenstein, you can do it. Every shot will be
It's
Bernie
like,
Wrightson's Frankenstein.
I watch a movie like Blade Runner and that looks stunning still with basically no CGI.
All right, close. And I didn't contradict him, but I'm thinking, no, Sin City did it exactly what you're talking about. Sin City, especially with the character of Marv, would be the perfect candidate for a motion capture because it's like, oh, who can play that? But if we can just draw that character and have a guy walk through it, then it'll be perfect. Except you wouldn't have that Mickey Rourke performance. So Robert didn't do that. He actually cast an actor and turned him into Marv, and Mickey Rourke was great. And it's why everyone remembers Sin City. As great as it is, it's Mickey Rourke's phenomenal performance that is the thing that just blew us out of our socks.
I'm just crazed. You got any beers around this place?
I remember when I was reading the book again, I just worked with Mickey and I read the book to see.
That's a
who
great
played
movie,
Marv.
too.
I was looking at it again. Oh my God, I know who this person is. Mickey is Marv. But I needed to make him look more like the comic and get more of the iconic features. The first thing that was put down was, okay, we don't want him wearing too much stuff because he's got such a great face and such a great voice. So let's try just
Work
some
with
minimal
the face. Don't cover the
so we
face
did a
up.
couple
Just
little
work with
pieces,
it.
Just bridge of the nose things, and we did a test, and Mickey was here, and Robert comes up, and all of a sudden, Frank Miller walks in. And they're looking. I said, well, hey, man, here's the wig and the dentures, and we kept it kind of subtle, so we didn't go too crazy. So the first shot we did on, it just looked too baby smooth. It was like, even when Mickey takes off Mickey has more character in his face when he's got the makeup off than when he did it. I said, well, we can go further if you want. And Frank went, really? Can you go further? I said, yeah. He said, well, here, this is what we talked about. So he takes a piece of paper and he does the sketch. And he goes, that's mine. As soon as he did that, I saw how the brow came out and how the nose came out and flattened, and then the chin comes in. I got it. Exactly. So
Gotcha.
do the makeup, and you got the wife beater, necklace with the cross and the black duster, and walked in the set, and Frank Miller literally backed away. And
Wow.
Frank, up until that point, had always just been nice, safe, his own page can't really hurt me. And then you look up and he's walking towards you. And Frank literally, we were so lucky because all the actors that we had to do makeups on, Benicio del Toro and Nick Stahl and Mickey, I mean, these guys were so
He got head.
excited and so into the project. I can't imagine anyone other than Mickey Rourke wearing that Marv makeup. I mean, I kind of look at that as the modern.
He got head from Elijah Wood. Yes, you may take that out of context.
Mummy. And that's why they scared the hell out of me. I thought they were real. I mean, it's only after I saw Man of a Thousand Faces, the story of Lon Chaney, that movie was about somebody creating the monsters. I realized, oh, yeah, of course, somebody creates the monsters.
I watched this movie and wow, this is a real guy, right? My dad's like, yeah, it's Lon Chaney, you know? So there happened to be a book out, and he got me the book. I looked through it, and had all these amazing photos, all these makeups, and just like, that's what the real guy looked like, and this is what all the different characters.
Amazing stuff that he came up with. I mean, you know, the Phantom of the Opera makeup, the upturned
LMAO, how understated the O was. I was expecting O.
Yeah, you had to put a bunch of O's for that.
Lord knows what he put himself through.
Oh my god, that's scary right there. I hate that 1925 version of Phantom of the Opera because he's so scary looking.
Whatever he could for the art of acting and the art of makeup.
And that really inspired me, you know, and that's where I did start to play with, like, really seeing what I could do as far as changing my face with just household items.
A lot of people, Stan Winston and Tom Savini, all started out wanting to be actors.
I wanted to be Lon Chaney when I grew up, so I decided I wanted to be the guy that creates the monsters. Before that, I was an Italian kid loafing on the corner in Little Italy. And then from that day on, I was shining shoes to buy makeup. I went to grade school with half my eyebrows missing, nose putty in my hair. Then I realized I could make up my friends, you know, so I would, you know, burn the top of their heads off with makeup, slice their throats and their wrists, and they would go home and their parents would scream. There's another makeup load. They're like, what happened to my kid? Who did that? Savini. Well, you can't play with him anymore.
Oh.
I remember being very impressed with Jack Pierce's work, even before I knew who Jack Pierce was. Mummy and the Wolfman and Frankenstein are pretty indelible creations.
What's amazing is how iconic those makeups are.
The Wolfman.
Pierce creating makeup on Karloff that is as classic as the Empire State Building. It's this like deco perfection.
There's a reason why that Karloff Pierce Universal image is just, you know, stamped in every kid born today. They've seen that Frankenstein, and that's the Frankenstein of their
I am
dreams.
here.
That's the Frankenstein of their nightmare with the bulbs.
Hey, Romeo.
Jack Pierce was doing incredible makeups with primitive materials.
He would build the makeup every day out of his kit with collodion and cotton.
Karloff would sit there for 9.5 hours while Jack would put
Damn, 9.5 hours.
Good old Tarantino.
You know, brows, and then was building split head and put the wig on from scratch.
Every day, that was a new creation.
There were no rubber pieces to glue on, you know.
One of the reasons Jack Pierce was unceremoniously fired from Universal was that he took too long. And by the 40s, they wanted, hurry up, hurry up, hurry up.
He was using primitive stuff, but creating our classic monster.
And it all changes with the technology. The
Art takes time. You cannot rush perfection.
Oak Frankenstein from Mary Shelley.
And it was just,
yeah.
You know, it was something that took 3 hours, now took 10 minutes.
Uh-oh, it might get kind of gory, guys.
You know, Tom is of the down and dirty school of figuring it out. You know, a lot of, well, you know what, if you just, like, I know it'll work. Bam!
I did this in school.
It was very innovative.
It's just got this amazing
Oh, that's cool.
energy and had a tremendous influence on some of the stuff that we did. I mean, I could call on Tom to do anything.
Romero's movies always held a fascination for me just because there was this kind of slightly panic in the 80s about video nasties in the UK, like our censor sort of banned everything. And a lot of good films.
It was a book, not the movie.
Off the shelves. And so Dawn of the Dead was like this legendary movie that everyone talked about.
I mean, I had never seen a movie before that was just kill after kill after kill after kill. People getting shot in the head and heads exploding. It was this beautiful orgy of on-screen makeup effect.
I remember the one picture of David Emge in Dawn of the Dead, and he's been zombified, he's got a big hole in his neck, and he's doing one of the best zombie performances in the
I am on standby for bad messages.
just thinking,
good job.
God, what is this?
When David empties up the elevator
Ah yeah,
shaft and
bad
shot,
times.
his arm explodes.
Luckily I wasn't alive
Well, I don't
then.
have an explosives license then, but I wanted to see
Yeah,
an explosion
me either.
of blood come out of him, so, you know, I would just take a condom and split it open, tape it shut.
Hello,
fill it with
Doc.
blood, tie it around David's arm under his clothes. The hole was already in the clothing, and I would have fish line attached to the tape.
Hi there
So
at
George and I wanted the
Remio18.
elevator shaft above me, so that when George says action, I yank that tape, which opens the rubber, and blood just went.
He was just always coming up with
Cool.
these spontaneous things.
Are
It
you
was
doing
great.
good
I
today?
could always call Tom up and say, hey, man, we're going to make another one, you know, start thinking of ways to kill zombies.
We all had a day to die, which had nothing to do with the title of the movie, but everybody's death scene they gave a day to because of technical.
Me or Dark?
So
Because
I
I'm
was the
doing good.
last death scene.
How you, Dark?
We referenced that specifically in Shaun of the Dead with Dylan's character.
Choke on him! Choke on him!
As well. The evisceration.
Yeah, just stressing as working at music festivals from Tuesday and not sure I've packed everything. When is the next Oak Chris Run Goth?
I may try to continue and hopefully finish that tomorrow.
George about having a line. Now I was worried about getting the line up because when I watched it, I don't think Rhodes is gonna just say nothing when he dies. So
That is
pretty
so
good.
disgusting.
They tore your legs. All you are is a horse. What would you say? I whispered.
Choke on him! Choke on him!
Choke on him. Choke on him. Great.
Blood is like something, you know, just it was just a mess. But everybody was like,
I
"It's a great
imagine.
shot. The shot was great.
In particular, kudos to Joe for putting up with the stink.
Choke on them.
Which was
Yep.
famously wrong.
I was very fortunate because it's a real memorable death scene.
Choke on them.
Yep.
To come visit the set of Creep Show.
I mean, what else would you say when something like that happens? You're screwed, so just be like, you know what? I hope you choke on him.
He's a fun guy.
And we met totally coincidentally. This is, Greg was still...
Go ahead, take him. I hope you
maybe
choke.
12 or 14, something like that. And they were in Italy vacation. And I was over there working with Dario Argento.
And we're sitting at Alfredo's restaurant in Rome. We walk in and everyone's like, hey, look, there's a Coliseum, you know, there's the Forum. And I'm like, yeah, there's George Romero. I mean, literally, at the next table was George Romero.
All of a sudden, his
Did you know Mortal Kombat Deception was on the Xbox and PSP?
So
Oh
we
yeah, I think I
chatted
heard
a little
something
bit,
about
and I
that.
signed an autograph and all that. He said, can I ever get to do anything like that, do you think? And I said, well, if you really want to, you know, someday.
I kept in touch with them. I went and visited the set of Creep Show a lot.
I think George Romero and Chris Romero gave him the job on Day of the Dead. You know, some job, and I told him it was my assistant.
I always...
I mean the old Xbox, not the new one.
Yeah.
Miss the
Every
PSP.
movie I saw, the Friday the 13th.
Oh, yeah.
Movies like Happy Birthday to Me and The Prowler.
I wonder ever, I don't know, there was like some kind of joke about how, no, I think that was the Vita that they made that joke about. Who even actually owns one of those? Nobody has a Vita. I think it was the Vita they made that joke
That's
about.
going to be about CG. It's about the body.
I have the PSP, I got it for my birthday.
The effects had better be good. Are you going to use CG?
Awesome.
We're going to use real practical makeup effects.
I suppose I thought that, you know, they were just going to slap a bunch of blood on my face and some bruising, and I don't know.
Cabin
I thought it
Fever
would be
is a
simple,
weird
but,
movie.
You know, they really created wounds, and, you know, there was so much dimension to what they put on.
My brother-in-law haved one a fighter.
His face is all rotted out right before Ryder Strong smashes her in the head with a shovel. I was really, really pleased with that because we needed her to still be alive, and it really looked like her skin had been peeled
Same
off.
at Remio18. Also I owned a Vita, but yeah, the games weren't great, but playing emulators on it was good.
Blood, and I love being covered in blood.
Oh, not this scene. Ugh.
remember the leg shaving scene.
Yeah.
The skin peeling off like a banana. But in shipping the parts, there was a freeze that happened that we weren't expecting, and a lot of the make effects that had been made got frozen. They got destroyed in the freeze. You know, we sat there and we thought, okay, how are we going to get this? How are we going to get her to shave her legs with this whole makeup effect we planned? And we thought, okay, what if, you know, we just do the full makeup on it?
Oh la la. I got the old Mortal Kombat for the PSP. It was called Mortal Kombat Unchained.
Nice.
Really the centerpiece of the film.
You la la.
This is the guy that created The Exorcist, The Godfather, Midnight Cowboy, The Sentinel. This was the guy, the pioneer.
You la la.
He invented all the techniques they call
Exactly.
today.
I knew that in Hollywood, when they did a transformation,
You worse than Michael Myers.
out of foam latex, but all
Yeah.
in one piece. The problem with that was simple. Foam latex shrinks. So
Foam
when you
latex.
tried to put it on, you would be fighting the smallness of the mask. And I thought, well, why don't I make it in section?
What Dick was doing was unlike anybody else, you know, just these multi-piece appliances and just the way things looked. They just really looked real. You just felt like if you could touch it, it would feel like real flesh. There's just something Dick had an eye for.
Devon, get the chairs.
Creating the right form and the right wrinkle over this wrinkle and fold over this fold.
Makeup artists didn't share their secrets, you know, competition, but not Dick Smith. You would call Dick Smith on the phone. Why? What is it? I'm busy. You're scared because it's Dick Smith, you know. Then you would ask him a question an hour and a half later. He's still telling you how to do the formulas. And then he would type it up and Xerox it. And mail it to you. He shared his secrets.
When I was a kid, when I was 6 years
Oh
old, I
no,
saw
not
The
this
Exorcist,
movie.
And it traumatized me. I thought it was completely real. I thought you'd get possessed by the devil.
The intensity was so great.
Thanks
that
to
sitting at the
that
National Theater in Westwood,
2010s, I
when the
think it
lights went
was,
down, everybody went, "Nah," you know,
or
everyone was scared before it
late
started.
2000s, 2010s.
The
Phenomenon of
basic
screamer videos on
demonic
YouTube.
phase
The Exorcist has
was
been
the
ruined
toughest
for
one.
me. I can't watch
We
it
did a
now. Oh
series of
God.
6 different makeups. right off
If you know, you know.
chest. And going crazy, doing anything. But they wanted to see, you know, go all hog. And there was nothing in the first half dozen that pleased any of us. And so I did another half dozen. But Billy Friedman, the director, then decided that we should tone it all down, make it as little as possible. And I wasn't too happy about that. And I think
Jump
we went
scare
into
for the closet.
and finally, we started coming back in the other direction.
Oh God, I can't even look at that. Ugh.
The makeup on her was just increasingly startling and weird. I do remember that when she did the vomiting, that a Hispanic woman stood up in the middle of the audience and screamed and said, Dios mío, Dios mío, and she ran up the aisle just screaming.
Oh my goodness.
Did all the vomiting. So, it was easy to put the makeup on that Linda wore, and it was a pretty good match.
It worse than the babysitter movies I watched.
It's kind of like a bit that went in your mouth and a teeny tube that ran over the makeup. And of course, I couldn't walk around her. I couldn't talk. And he invented like this little vacuum cleaner thing. You know, like when you're in the dentist, a little thing went.
Oh yeah, the saliva sucker.
The original thought
The saliva
used her
hose.
a lot because Linda had no training as an actress, but she learned very fast. So Linda was used in practically everything except the extreme violence.
Do you watch the Pandaverse?
I did the vomiting.
Nah, not really. I kind of just been sticking with Odd Giant.
Which was done to the thighs. If anybody really wants to know. Bloody sponges on the thighs. And of course, the thing that I always have to say is nobody knew it was going to be The Exorcist.
It was Ghostface killing someone.
Ah, the freaking, what was it, Pazuzu? Freaking hate. That's another one that I hate that people love to use as jump scares, is that Pazuzu face.
That's all fine and dandy. Sculpt the nose. Why don't you sculpt the nose and mold it and run it and apply it and let's see if it looks real. If you can do that, you can do anything. I was like, but that sounds just the nose. He went, no, it's not just the nose. It's dead center in your face. So you've got to learn how to crawl before you can walk.
There's nothing harder in this life than to convince you that somebody's older than they are on film. Old age makeup is the most diabolically difficult thing to really.
It's very hard to make it look natural.
It was the Simpsons
and
dolls.
And not just like a mask.
Both times with Dick Smith.
Well, you know, when I saw The Exorcist, which I wasn't allowed to see, it was one of the films my dad brought home. And I snuck a peek through the crack in the door. I kept going, I don't know why people are freaking out about this. To me, I was looking at it as a technical standpoint. Those makeups are amazing. Never did I ever think that Max von Sydow was wearing makeup because he's playing Father Mara.
I seem to recall that he had trouble getting some work after that because everybody thought he was 75.
Don't varp and sleep.
And indeed he was not.
Max was a young man. Max was 40 something when he did The Exorcist. He was a young man.
Working with Max, who was in his early 40s, was
Don't be.
really an easy
I just
job
caught what you said.
because he had a long, kind of serious-looking face. His skin wrinkled easily enough. I could add on small plants to give him a waffle on his neck, and use just what we call old age stipple, which is just a latex formulation that you stipple on the skin and stretch it. And then when you let it go, it makes the skin more leathery, and therefore it wrinkles naturally.
It was it funny what I said.
Yeah. That was kind of funny, yeah.
My own face would be, I could look like a mummy in no time. I put some on my face.
I don't even think Max von Sydow even looks that old today. It's probably it is probably the best old age makeup ever done. It's flawless.
And the other one was F. Murray Abraham in Amadeus, which is one of the great makeups.
Amadeus.
Completely believe it.
I mean, Dick really became the master of old age makeup. You know, you follow the Father Mara makeup, which to me is perfect, all the way up to Amadeus and so forth, and just
The
really,
unsinkable
just
Molly
really beautiful,
Brown.
subtle stuff.
His performance was truly wonderful. And that's all part of it. Your makeup is worth it. It's the actor doesn't use it.
Look, he's deserved an Academy Award his whole life. We finally gave it to him for Amadeus.
That is a big thing for me, and I treasure it still.
If they do the Hall of Fame of makeup effects artist, he'll be right at the top of the list, really, right next to Jack Pierce.
Wow.
Dick Smith.
Welcome to the jungle.
I know who to add as a Mortal Kombat character. You can add Goth.
1967. And the head of the makeup department at Fox was John Chambers.
Johnny once applied to me before he got into this piece for a job at NBC. And at that point, I had nothing that I could offer him. Johnny headed west and became very successful.
He had been a guy in the military. One of his jobs was picking up pieces of people after accidents and acts of war. And he became fascinated by disfigurement and how you deal with it. And he was my first exposure to a makeup artist. I used to go into the makeup department all the time because I thought it was so cool. They had, you know, shelves.
I told you not to bring the other one. You wouldn't leave her.
And they were making all the foam.
My mom watched it the other day.
For the Planet of the Apes.
Planet of the Apes.
Yeah.
Beyond your wildest dreams.
Take your stinking paws off me, you damn dirty
And when
apes.
in fact that had on my little 9-year-old brain. You did it.
You did it.
Cut up his brain.
You cut up his brain, you.
You know, of course, every kid has to do a Planet of the Apes makeup, so I did a whole bunch of those as well. And, you know, got my face, I cast my own face, which was very difficult. And ended up sculpting, you know, just looking at how they broke it down, you know, those photos. So it was like the brow with the muzzle, and then a lower chin, and then a hairpiece, and a hand laid, all the hair.
I remember the Planet of the Apes being really exciting as a kid
because of I think the idea and seeing the makeup and strange and adventurous those were. I remember my dad trying to bond my brother and I by saying, "Oh, let's go. We're going to a college football game." We were sitting up in the nosebleeds. And it was cold, and I was all mad because we were missing Planet of the Apes on TV. I remember that.
Now the tribunal has placed you in my custody for final disposition. You realize what that means?
He won an Oscar. He won the second honorary Oscar ever given to a makeup person.
Dr. Zayas, Dr. Zayas, Dr. Zayas, Dr. Zayas, Dr. Zayas.
Rick Baker had a great love for gorillas. And was gorilla obsessed. He started with John Landis' Schlock. I think he did King Kong. He always does good gorilla.
You're getting soft, Limbo. You normally hack off a limb.
Well, I was really excited when Rick got hired to do Planet of the Apes. I figured that's going to be great. I mean, I knew
The movie was not great, but you cannot deny
Interest and obsession
the costumes
with
and
apes
makeup
and
effects
his
were
inspiration
amazing.
by Planet of the Apes and all this stuff. I think that he always had a really unique vision in terms of how to translate those makeups, saying how can we improve upon this? How can we make this different? How can we make it more interesting? Well, listen, let's see what we can do about adding lip movement.
I must be out of my mind. Out of my mind. You'll have to make it up on volume.
What I loved about Rick's makeups were, the makeup he did on Paul Giamatti and the makeup on Tim Roth. And they're all so dramatically different.
All right. Get them out and get them clean. Chop, chop.
It's always tough. I mean, I think Rick took a huge chance doing that film because it has so much love, within the world and the audience and all of us.
It was astounding work. Definitely, a tribute to Rick's vision and his sort of updating, the classic.
Ooh, wolf movies. Werewolf movies.
I was working on a picture called Jaws 3 People
You will
Zero.
see water wolf.
Never going to get made. And my friend Mike Fennell was working on a project called The Howling, where the original director was apparently being let go. When I came over to do that picture, the idea was that there was going to be a werewolf transformation that was all going to be done in one take, which was unusual for the time. So we went to Rick Baker, who was a friend of ours, and I always wanted to do a werewolf picture, but he had been working with John Landis on a picture called American Werewolf, and they had never really got financing, never got off the ground. I think he was a little frustrated.
I gave Rick a screenplay I'd written in 1969 called An American Werewolf in London. And I said, Rick, figure this out, because I want to show him. I told him. So he had a long time to think about it, because no one would ever make that film.
And so when we asked him to do our picture, he said, sure. And he had all these ideas, which I guess he'd been planning to use on the other picture. And he worked for us for about, a week, maybe, and gave it a fabulous test. And John's project suddenly came to life.
I call him up, and they go, hey, Rick, I got the money. We're making Werewolf. And he went, what's the matter? He says, well, remember that Change-O head I showed you? Yeah. Well, I'm doing a werewolf picture for Joe Dante. He said, you fuck what? What?
So Rick had to he semi-reluctantly leave our movie and left us in the hands of Rob Bottin, who was his associate.
Did we ever found out how Sabu died?
I don't think so yet.
Rob Bottin took over the picture and did the werewolves. And Rick
I don't think they've
came
released
and
it
did
yet.
American Werewolf in London.
Rick Baker's American Werewolf in London. When you watch that, it's happening right in front of you. My stuff always was happening right in front of you. There was something to that.
Oh, I just got a notification somebody gifted me a sub to Chunky Lotus. Thanks to that person. That was nice.
Concept of how you want to do these transformations.
I had done a movie called Airplane, where I made a mechanical nose prosthetic for Leslie Nielsen. It was like a Pinocchio nose, and it grew on camera. So I thought, well, wait a minute, what if I use the same technology that I used for that nose? And I used it to actually make the mechanical mask, make its nose grow, or make the lower jaw grow, make the ears grow, and make the teeth grow. With the inspiration that Joe Dante wanted to see transformation done in one shot, I then started thinking, like, well, wouldn't it be kind of interesting to actually make a replica of the actor, and inside would be like an underskull. And I thought, well, what if I actually took the skull and cut it up and actually got the bones to shift and whatnot.
It was a learn by doing situation.
Wow.
Rob would do stuff, he would shoot it, we would look at it, we would cut it.
Oh, I guess Dark must have fallen asleep on us.
What looked like a mistake was actually...
He did say it was pretty late.
Sound effect on it.
Rob Bottin was just, he was really unbelievable on the helmet.
Dee Wallace, who would do most of the reacting to the werewolf and had to look at nothing, was a really good actress who could really get into the moment. And
Who did say, I'm still here?
Oh, okay, he's still with us.
response isn't convincing.
Oh yeah, you didn't speak for a while, so I thought you did. Conk out on us.
Just doing TikTok editing while watching.
Ah, fair.
So they have to take
Fair
that
enough.
into account and not break up.
Well, I love Rob Bottin. God, you know what it's like? It's like when a movie would come out by Rob Bottin or Rick Baker or Dick Smith. This is the latest exhibit.
Not
from this
sleep
exhibit.
buoy.
That's how I would treat it. You're not going to see this movie. You're going to see the latest artwork from one of these people. I mean, look at Total Recall. The woman's head that's just split, boom, 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 and there's Arnold.
Yeah.
When I was meeting with Paul and I was pitching him my different ideas for the movie, this is the transition scene where Arnold, in essence, is going to Mars and his adventure is beginning.
That wasn't in the script. No, that wasn't written somewhere. He just contributed that.
Get ready for a surprise!
Surprise!
That's the stuff that you respect.
I talked with a bunch of guys on the thing about how to do it.
The Thing.
There's a lot of influence at the time from Alien, face hugging and such. Rob Bottin came in and said, kind of gave me the secret to the movie, creatively, dramatically, and the effects-wise. He said, look, this is a chance of a lifetime because the thing can look like anything. It doesn't have to look like one thing. It changes constantly.
Face hugging, nothing wrong with that.
John, wouldn't it be neat if the guy's ribcage, Norris, his ribcage just rips out.
I don't know about this case though.
Bob, are you going live
kind of
today?
like a big set of teeth. And then Doc, who isn't expecting this, of course, falls into the
Oh, yeah.
chest cavity. And the teeth close and bite Doc's arms off.
One of my favorite images of all time is Norris's head hitting the floor and sprouting the legs. Are you kidding me?
Ugh.
I remember when I first saw The Thing.
Woke, woke.
A double feature of The Thing and Fast Times at Ridgemont High. I thought of Fast Times was first, and then I was going to go into The Thing. And they had the times all screwed up. So when you got there, this guy's head was coming off the table.
What a time to walk into the theater, huh?
That ain't Fast Time.
You know, you felt like you were in the hands of lunatics who would stop at nothing to get the visceral effect.
Now that is the masterpiece of splatter to me, The Thing. Nothing I've ever done I could say was the masterpiece of splatter. Although they call me the king of splatter, Rob Bottin's work in The Thing that's the masterpiece.
And what really is mind-blowing is those effects still hold up.
Oh no, I think I know what they're gonna talk about. Oh, not the Dances with Wolves Buffalo scene.
We got a call out of the blue from Kevin Costner's company, and he was going to do this Western called Dances with Wolves. First one he was going to direct. So he called us in and he said, well, listen, I saw the cadavers you did for Gross Anatomy, so if you can do dead bodies, you can definitely do dead buffaloes.
Obviously, it's illegal to shoot and kill animals for motion pictures and
Of course,
some very specific
obviously.
things that we can do. We need to make 2 mechanical buffaloes for a buffalo hunt to simulate the actual arrows and bullet hits that are going into the buffalo hides. Then there were the other buffaloes, I want to say 23 buffaloes. And
If you had to, would you play Mortal Kombat Deception?
during the construction, I got a phone call.
Yeah, I'd give it a try.
And he said, we're using actual
I wouldn't
buffalo
mind.
hides here. We understand you're using artificial fur. I said, of course we're using artificial fur. You know, we don't want to use actual animal hides in making these things. And, you know, working with skins and all that stuff would be very difficult for us. And this would be easy. Well, it's never going to match. It's never going to match. In a million years ago. Trust me, You do a great job. It's gonna look nice.
Shh, trust the process.
So I said, well, send me a buffalo hide, and I'll shoot pictures side by side.
Only one your favorite in the game.
And I looked at the two, and I went, okay. Took it. I used some fabric paints and things that you use, and I made it, painted them about the same. And I looked at them, and I put the labels on, and I went, huh. And I reversed them. I took a picture and I sent it to the collections office. I get a call. Oh my God! That artificial buffalo fur looks terrible. It's not real. It's awful. It's this and that. I knew you were gonna say that. I switched the tags, and there was silence on the other end of the phone. And I said, "I'll see you out in South Dakota."
I think you know who it is.
Nice. I could take a guess. Yes.
Through a friend of mine, Scotty Spiegel, one of the co-writers on Evil Dead 2.
That was sarcasm, son.
Greg Nicotero and Bob Kurtzman.
Ooh, that snake dance scene, right?
We'd all go see movies at like the New Art.
Go for it.
Go see The Killer, I remember, and just getting my equipment, and that's what we'd all go out and eat and all that. So.
Already been live at Remio 18 ha 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 ha. There was a shorter stream tonight as heading to parents to pick my festival camping shit tomorrow.
Wanted to have a real writer to write the script. So he thought, hey, I can probably pay Quentin to do this. This would be great.
And I said, okay, I'll do it for $1,500 and I'll do all that stuff, and I was happy to do that. But I threw a provision.
Okay.
I said, look, I'm going to be making Reservoir Dogs coming up in this next year and a half, and I want you to do the makeup effects on it for free. And Bob said, okay.
So he wrote From Dusk Till Dawn for Bob. And
You
Bob
want
tried
to
get it
take a
going
guess,
for a
Goth?
while.
Nobody liked it.
I know who it is. I was teasing you. Yes, I know who you mean.
Vampire movie, and it's it's two different movies. This is
My
crazy.
boy.
Who would ever make a film that's two films in one? That doesn't make any sense. It'll never happen.
Quentin gave me a script to read. He said, here's
Who
something
is
to do
it?
in Mexico. It's something that I first wrote. I don't have the rights to it anymore. But check it out. And I started reading it. And
You're gonna
was
make me
terrific.
say it.
There's stuff that he'd already taken out of it. Ezekiel's speech from Pulp Fiction was in that originally. And there was other gems that he'd already been pulling out. And I thought, a few more years, there won't be anything left. We keep mining it. We better go shoot it quick while we can. And then
We did From Dusk Till Dawn in film studies.
Oh.
Strike. That was
It is Kenshi.
We're non-union. Actually, we had to
Oh.
shoot the second half first. So KNB had to
My
make
other
all
boy.
the effects, all the creatures and everything right away, so that we could start with all that. We would think we
Go
should
on,
shoot
say
it.
it.
We shoot it in order so that you could have time to prepare all of that. Shoot all your
Well, you already
outputs
told me
first.
it was
We
Kenshi.
had to start with the interior crew stuff before we could go out and shoot the exterior stuff.
Ooh,
So
yes.
the whole second half was done
That
first.
scene.
First day was in the bar, and by the end of the first week, we were into vampires and creatures.
I thought you was only say Johnny Cage.
So much fun. Like literally. You're talking about a bunch of guys that show up.
Yeah.
A bunch of
That's
Mexico
what I thought
and
you wanted
blood
me to
and
say.
Vampires and Quentin Tarantino and Harvey Keitel and Robert Rodriguez.
We were shooting downtown in an old Laurie's meat seasoning factory that had been closed down. And it was hot as hell. This was during the summer. No air conditioning.
It was my other boy.
We had a room that was actually like the meat locker that was off from the sound stage where I set up the makeup room. There were 12 of us, and they're doing hundreds of makeups all day long, just churning.
My makeup took about $3. And it was great getting the makeup on, and getting the long finger. I love the long finger. And after the makeup's on, about an hour after it's on, I'm in the hallway scaring people, sneaking up behind Rodriguez.
Do you how can she want blind?
Look at my makeup and that's what it's a penis. Because he's my friend.
And it's in there.
Wasn't the original version?
Why did you do this?
It was it was how they did it in
Nothing big. Like Reservoir Dogs, a great movie, but for us,
how they did it in the Snowblind movie. That was the original.
We really got to prove ourselves.
That was the original way.
It just kind of led into the next shows, and the next.
Shang Tsung tricked him into like going to get the sword.
Kill Bill, where I think we proved ourselves.
And it was some kind of like magical thing that happened that blinded him.
I wanted to have the Japanese type of pyrotechnics, and like the way the blood would squirt out and all that kind of stuff. I didn't want it to have.
Shang Tsung trick him into taking Steno and the soul want on his eye and the well of souls blind him.
Yeah, that's what it was.
In Hong Kong and China for
bloody scenes. We tested Japanese blood for what they use in their movies, and we tested American. And so we went with the Japanese blood. It was great working with Howard Berger. He knew exactly what it is I wanted, and you know, and he's great because there's no excuses. You know,
The Family Guy reference.
they don't work half the time actually, but he never has an excuse.
Ew.
About it. Just okay, sorry, we're all waiting. Here we go. Try it again. I don't know what the problem is. Give me 5 minutes to figure it out.
In the last dozen years, we've done every one of Robert's films.
Grindhouse was the most fun I've ever had, for sure.
Josh Brolin.
We had a blast.
Gross.
Just being
I should actually watch the Grindhouse collection at some point.
Trying to think what kind of zombies they'd be. It made sense that they would just be sort of an infection brought back from the war. That it would be a viral infection. And had my doctor show me real infections, so I could kind of see how could you mix some of these together and have them get out of control. And he said, oh, well, I've got eyeballs, Iraqi eyeballs, and actually in my refrigerator, you know, mustard gas makes them all cloudy. My doctor just thought,
Ew.
I put him in the movie, my doctor.
You need to watch Grindy House.
It's just like, oh, these are horrible. So I thought, let's just take these, multiply them, and have them all happen at a very rapid rate.
It was no holds barred, you know? I mean, that's what Robert wanted, was everything goes, anything goes. And everybody's pretty serious about it, except when you actually
Oh my
get on
gosh.
set and you start doing your thing, and, you know, the pus pack
Oh, God.
bursting.
Oh, come on, man. That's just nasty.
Months of doing the disease.
Okay, I don't want
all
to see disgusting stuff, okay? I draw the line at just gross, disgusting stuff.
Basically because it was a double feature. Had to save money on mine, so there'd be enough money for equipment to make his.
It was funny because, you know, Robert uses a lot of CGI in his stuff, and so I had never really used CGI before, except maybe to rinse a wire or two. So then I wrote a car crash, and hey, if I'm gonna use CGI, I'm gonna do some shit I've never seen before. So I thought I would, you know, do this car crash, and people are getting torn apart simultaneously. Then I wrote it. Now Greg knows I can't stand CGI, so he just assumed.
Love the grindhouse look you're rocking. What is a grindhouse?
You know, let's do it in camera. Forget. Yeah, I didn't tell him I was thinking about CGI. I was like, yeah, he's right. He actually thinks, okay, let's do that. Let's do it that way.
The real challenge was we had to create dummies of each of these girls that could act, because the idea always was Quentin said, this is like a crash test dummy movie. I want to see all this stuff in super slow motion.
So we did body scans and live casts of 4 principal actresses who were in the car at the time of the crash.
I can't believe they have this technology, but they got me to get into a circle and make a Da Vinci pose. This round unit comes around you, slowly drops around you. You can't move for 60 seconds. You have to hold this position, and it takes this perfect image of your body.
What Quentin wanted was very specific stuff. To see a car tire rip through the roof of the car and peel a girl's face off. The girl gets her leg ripped off as she goes flying out of the front window of the car.
Being an effects person looks so fun, LMAO.
It does, doesn't it?
There were very specific things, so the actresses had to be cast in the exact positions they were sitting in the car. But then the armatures inside had to be articulated in such a way, too, that they moved like a real human body would move.
So we literally designed armatures that mimicked the human body in terms of the skeleton. We had joints that could only move a certain way. If your arm can't bend this way, then the armatures in the
And absolutely no one did anything weird with those full body images.
Oh,
The
come on,
end.
man.
They made these things look exactly like
Naughty, naughty. Down, Bobby.
We shot for 3 days, pulling the bodies apart and ripping the leg off and shooting the dummies through the windshield. And the last gag was the shot where Vanessa
Literally spoke too soon, LMAO.
So she closes her eyes. So as the wheel comes through and rips through it, rips her face off.
Ooh.
Like what I say in every horror movies.
You know, it's all done in camera. The dummies look really good, and you can't tell, and I'm pretty proud of that. But that was all shot on the day. Nothing was added. Nothing was taken away. That's just, you know, we shot it on the set that way.
They will be fine.
I like going to conventions where you'll have a young kid that will come up and say, "Oh man, I love Evil Dead 2."
Yeah,
and
don't
I'm a big fan of the
remind me
movies."
not to get into a car
And you look
accident.
at them and you go, "Wow, that was me one day." And they're influenced by movies and sequences that we've had a part in doing. I mean, to me, that's so exciting to be able to influence young filmmaking.
I need to ask you something, Goth.
However that is defined.
What's up?
It's part of the magic that makes you want to do it. You know, when you're a kid, it makes you pursue it as an adult.
These guys love what they do. Any job on a movie is hard work and long hours, but makeup effects guys are constantly working a lot
was ready to
longer
censor
than
that.
the shooting company is working.
Your inspirations come from everything. All the great old movies, you know, all the great old comic books.
Should I get back with my ex-girlfriend or not?
My generation.
Oh, I don't think I'm the person to ask that.
Who Lon Chaney is. We know all these
I'd have to
great
know.
icons, Jack Pierce.
I mean, usually that's not a good
They're the
idea.
basis of why we do this.
But
All for
just depends
Why
on.
are they your ex-girlfriend?
Yeah, exactly. Why are they your ex in the first place? Think about that.
There are a number of makeup artists that
Would determine the answer.
second generation people, and they have become really better and better until they're now top artists. And that I regard as terrific.
Alright, that was Fantastic Flesh, the Art of Makeup Effects documentary.
I date her in collage and she dumped for other man and he break up with her BF and I want to date her again.
Well, like I said, you just gotta reflect on how your relationship went last time and see if that's what you want. Right. Well, this next one's about Tom Savini himself. Oh, my avatar went wacko for a second there. Sorry.
Sometimes I feel like an assassin. People call me. I load up my car with all my goodies and my little toolbox and things, and I go some strange state and I kill people.
I hope it's not rude to ask, how far ago was college?
People hire me.
If it was like a year ago, then probably not a good idea. If you're talking like 10 to 15 years ago, then you never know, maybe she's changed. That's what I'd say, LOL.
Yeah, that's good. Good advice.
Design and carry out gruesome deaths. Whether the murder weapon is a machete or a pair of hands, a screwdriver,
Ew.
a spear, a helicopter, or simply that old standard shotgun.
Oh, Fangoria. I've read some of their magazines.
It wasn't at the start of my college, it was after she joined my class and she ended things with me before we even was in college.
Good
Tom's
take.
devoted to it, and he doesn't flinch, and he goes for it. He just
Whoa! I've never seen George Romero that young.
We too look at him as probably one of the best and one of the innovators of all the really weird, gross stuff going on in the industry.
If I had to choose one word for Tom, it would be fun.
From what you're saying is probs sounds a bad idea.
Yeah.
Unless it's to get married for tax reasons, then it's always a good idea.
Bobby.
Tom is more than a makeup man. He's a personality.
Also, he does obviously have a real flair for
He's being sarcastic.
cold-hard gruesomeness.
I really think that people want to escape to something. Movies provide a look into another dimension. Everyone says, how can you laugh? Why do people laugh at this stuff? I mean, here's somebody being torn in half and people are laughing. I guess you can't understand that unless you're into it, you know. It's like why do people laugh on a roller coaster ride? Some people don't. In fact, probably most people get sick on roller coaster rides and get headaches and throw up and everything else. But the people that love them, and they get in there and they laugh and scream. And because the experience makes you exuberant. And that's what Tom and I share, is that revelry.
With me, it's like watching the masters. I mean, you can't help but learn from people like Hitchcock, Woody Allen, and De Palma, and George Romero. My first inspiration as far as doing makeup was Lon Chaney, Lon Chaney Sr., the silent screen star, makeup artist, stuntman, actor, you know. He flipped me out. I saw a movie called Man of a Thousand Faces in this theater, the Plaza Theater, when I was 12 years old, and I flipped out. I had a makeup kit. I used to go to my relatives'
This is kind of making me want to go and watch
up,
these
and they
old
would look at
movies
me and
again.
wonder why I was doing this, you know, put a tattered shirt on or a bandana and make my face brown, and I'd stand there like this, you know, and they'd say, very nice, why are you doing this, you know?
Yeah.
And I would steal lipsticks out of my mother's purse, you know, and just anything I get my hands on to do makeup. And I was just this little Italian kid loafing on the corner before that. And I saw this movie and it was like, hey, I can be different people through makeup, you know? A whole world opened up, a bunch of new characters opened up. Whenever Chaney opened up his makeup box, the Phantom of the Opera, the Hunchback, I started reading about what has been called the myth of Lon Chaney, that he would suffer so much for his art, you know. With
London After Midnight. That movie is actually a lost media.
Like really be hanging from those gargoyles. It changed my life. From that moment on, from that day on, I became a new person. I no longer hung out on the corners. I was hanging out in my bedroom. I was bugging my
I think the only thing we have from that movie is like
money for supplies,
images.
I shined shoes in this neighborhood to buy makeup. You know, I was only a white kid that was shining shoes in Bloomfield, you know. So it was like after the Army, it became a career
It's a
move,
living.
a thing to do for a living, you know, which I never thought was possible.
I have you watched The Last of Us Part 1 and Season 2?
No, I haven't. I've heard it's really good.
All the things I wanted to be, and I only wanted to be those because of Lon Chaney. You know, I have my son's name is Lon. I named him for Lon Chaney.
But no, seriously, I'd say she made her mind up leaving you for another guy. You're worth more than that.
I actually thought of doing special makeup.
Good, mature advice there.
The second season is so saddening.
And he said, oh, he'd love to do the effects in it, and that's the first time that we worked together.
I played the games, loved the both of them.
Said I solved the problem of how Martin can slice the girl's wrist. You know, all we have to do is actually do it.
The 3 is a remaster of the 1 game.
Bled all over the floor, and everyone just, you know, really freaked out.
But when Martin is killed with I thought of how the hell did they do that? Again, it was the old procedure. I heard about this to make the artist believe this happened. And I had a syringe, a rectal syringe, filled with blood that I would just squeeze so it fly into the air against the actor who was pounding the stake in.
I do miss my ex-girlfriend. We are friends now, good college friends. Dark.
Straight up in the air, hit the ceiling, and just spread blood everywhere. Never touched the actor.
Oh, that's good. That's good at least.
Weapons are easy. This is one of them. Looks like I hope it looks like I'm cutting my neck. It's just cutting out the whole. You know, one approach would be, let's get a fake head, take a knife and cut its throat. Well, my idea is to use as much of the real actor in the effects as possible, because the real actor can, make faces, make his eyes.
That's good. It's maybe better to stay friends. I mean, I can't talk. I've made atrocious decisions when it comes to girls.
The bayonet that we used in Prowler, this was real effective in Prowler. The reason these are varying lengths because we start with the long one, cut away to something, cut back, and this one's in there.
Same here, man.
You know, we've gone in further. It's a sick business, I realize that. So the idea is, what do I need to see to make me believe that I'm seeing this happen, okay? Then step by step, we think it through. And
Yeah, I'm not exactly a relationship expert myself,
I
so.
approach the director with this and say, to make this illusion work, I think you need this, you need that, you need this. He agrees, he disagrees, we argue, I win, and then we do it, you know. All right, here's what we're going to do first, though. I'm going to put this plug in his mouth. And, you know, here's the
Ooh, the burning.
You know,
I
he
watched that.
gets
Pretty good.
Shears stuck through his neck.
A young Jason Alexander is in it.
I mean,
It's like, great, a job finally. They took a big wooden board and they set it up exactly like the raft I was laying on. And they had a hole in there for me to put my head through.
I am on fire.
I've got the shears positioned right above his eyeballs here, and I'm slapping blood around his mouth.
And I got a little worried because there's ADs walking around and PAs, and different people have these shears in their hands.
If something went wrong, there's nothing. His hands are locked behind him. Totally helpless position now.
You have to watch yourself with these films, man. They can waste you in the blink of an eye for art, you know? You gotta keep.
But you do have to be part psychologist when you're dealing with actors, you know. In Friday 13th Part 4, the teenagers were coming up to us and saying, how am I going to die? And the more glorious their death was, the greater they felt.
And then came Friday the 13th, which completely blew the lid off and had every independent filmmaker going.
Splatter. Splatter became crazy. Dawn of the Dead, you know. Friday the 13th, those two in a row.
I love this movie.
I think that's what started it all.
Good classic.
These effects were crucial to the popularity.
Young Kevin Bacon is one of the ones that dies.
Hope I'm not too late.
About an hour late, but that's fine.
Hayatub's Mercenary.
Jason from Friday the 13th, the first one, was...
Hayat Dark Doskos Plays.
Yeah,
Hey,
Bubba showed up.
In the shape of, he had a big ear that was pushed down here, and it was lower than the other ear. So he needed to be retarded. He needed to be hydrocephalic or a pinhead or something like that, you know. So if you can do that and make it...
Oh, I up at Up's Mercenary. How are you doing, me lad?
Yes, he did say that word, but he wasn't using it as a slur. So please don't... Nobody get angry about that.
Bob is here in the stream.
Yeah, he meant it as in the actual medical terminology, not a slur.
I stood outside of a theater waiting to walk in to watch this movie, and I heard the whole theater scream at the top of their lungs. I said, what? So I go in, I forget all
Yeah, it
about
wasn't
it.
a slur, it was
And
medical
we all-
terminology.
So the point is, it worked. You felt.
By far the most popular figure
I didn't hear the slur. LMAO was too focused on Bob.
has been the
Well-
What are we playing?
deformed killer.
Well, right now we're watching about a
We
video
are
about...
watching memes.
Talking about Willie Mays.
No, we're watching a video about Tom Savini and special effects makeup.
Or are we watching something?
I got to kill Jason.
Yes.
I gave him birth in part 1. It's like a Frankenstein syndrome. I'm taking care of killing my monster that I created. Plus, they paid me a fortune. My old friend Jason has been sliced, diced. I mean, he's been
Goth
killed
just said it.
58
Yes.
times. I mean, the guy's unstoppable. I wanted him to be ugly, you know. In my mind, Jason had to look like a 38-year-old version of the kid, you know, from part 1. But it involved doing a whole sculpture of a whole head and then breaking it down into individual appliances to be stuck on to the actor. And I had never done anything like that, but Dick Smith had. Dick Smith, by the way, is the master.
Also, I up from ploppers think we've not spoken until the actual plop trauma of losing him at a con, then getting him posted back to us. When you kill Jason, he just comes back from the dead.
Yep.
No secret. If it wasn't for him, the state of the art would not be where it is today.
Isn't he basically considered a zombie?
We gotta kill Jason, but it's gotta be dramatic.
Asterisk since the actual plop trauma.
Rubbing out teenagers, you know, now it's his turn to get it. So I had this machete from Dawn of the Dead that we used to split the guy's head, you know. So I said, that's it. That's how we'll kill Jason.
Ah, that's gross.
Slide down a machete. Realistically, unless we, you know, do a traveling mat or something, you know. So we had to do it mechanically. So we built this thing. We tested it over and over and over again with water, you know, the bleeding. But the idea of somebody getting hit and then sliding on the blades, what a payoff. They were screaming their lungs off.
Yummy.
That's our reward. You know, we have to wait a year later to get our reward.
He will be back in the next movie.
Gotten quite a bit of notoriety about the Splatter movies. Notoriety came, I assume, with the subject matter. If I said I was
Maniac.
doing the slash movie,
Oh, I love the remake of Maniac. It was good.
but I am. My job is to take what they write down and
I love the soundtrack.
create it, make
The
it
main-
happen,
the main theme.
believably, you know, on the screen. So,
Bro is
you know,
Art
I
the
think I do my
clown.
job well. Those people who say that we are the modern practitioners of stuff, it's not true because it was happening a long time ago.
There was, in the late 1800s, kind of a rage for violent theater. The Grand Guignol, unlike any other theater in the world, as a general rule, would do that act of violence in plain view of the audience. There were eye gougings, there were beheadings, there were guillotines.
Because he is killing a dead Jason.
Somebody's face would be pushed down on a hot plate. Arrows would be shot into somebody. They would be
Oh my
blown
gosh.
up. They would be burned alive. There would be an outpouring of blood. The people would faint at the theater from what they saw. The Grand Guignol has been dramatized into films and so on.
Did you watch the Strangers movies?
Influence that it did, which was that people saw
No, but I saw Your Movie Sucks do reviews on them, and they're not very
People that
good.
are into horror, particularly graphic horror, get a rush out of it that almost you can't explain. I'm not sure why. I'm really not. It's either that prurient desire to see the moment of death.
Guys like the Maniac or the Friday the 13th ripoff, you know, those creeps, guys like that really do exist outside. They're a little weird because I'll get letters with pictures from 13-year-old kids, you know, with, you know, knives through their heads and they've got stuff going over it's supposed to be guts, you know, and they're trying to impress me with the splatter stuff.
I think every time a new Friday the 13th movie comes out, I get at least 2 or 3 letters that are almost, each time, which are almost identical. And it's always some kid writing in, asking, where can I get a hockey mask like Jason wears in the Friday the 13th movies? Which I think is an example of how involved they are, because obviously they've never seen a hockey game before, or a sporting goods store. I guess the most extreme would be
the messages that include something to the effect that I love to see girls get chopped up.
I don't think it's going to cause anyone to
Oh
go
my
out and
gosh,
commit a crime.
that's a little
I think,
disturbing.
In fact, it might act as a fuse and prevent somebody from going out and committing a crime.
Perhaps I'm relying on the fact that the kids, quote unquote, know that this stuff, isn't real. Obviously, they're going to see the latest creation. It's like, what's the latest painting from so-and-so in this gallery? What's the latest atrocity or creature or monster?
Yo.
Maybe it's an art
Gross.
form, I don't know.
Hey, we.
Genre, and if you love it, it's not traumatizing. It's a good time.
Just a couple
We're
words
just
to
watching
confirm
a
that
couple
she's
of really old documentaries on special effects.
Hello, I weep.
The explosive charge, put that in the middle there. This way it explodes out and away from the person. Come here, my dear.
This gorge Ramo.
And now we test it. We're gonna make this a juicy one.
You. I think in Hollywood these little blood pack effects are called
You
squibs.
never know how the charge is going to hit, what it's going to feel like, which way the blood's going to go. Is it going to go in your eye? Is it going to go in your mouth? Is it going to burn you? And so that's the impossible stuff to call.
Want a blindfold? Cigarette?
Oh, look at the kids watching the show. Ooh, cool.
It worked, Greg. Yeah. It worked. The other thing we forgot to give her earplugs. I cannot hear anything. What'd you say? See this detonator box here? If we were doing a machine gun hit, we go.
Whoa.
But, I can't complain because for me, hell, it's a living. I'm gonna bite the hand that feeds me. However, there are, things I personally want to do, and that is do the creatures and the monsters and the fantasy things. The things that I saw when I was a kid.
That's cool.
They didn't exist outside.
Ew.
Need a hand.
She's got plenty.
I mean, everything today is zombies.
Oh, that's so gross. Ew.
Day of the Dead, far superior to stuff in Dawn of the Dead. Technically, in Day of the Dead, I had 6 guys working for me 3 months before we started shooting.
Kill him.
We did elaborate zombie. We're making generic zombie appliances, small, medium, and large.
At the beginning of the shoot, they handed me a list. It had a date, and it had how many zombies they needed on that date. So like November 6th, 375 zombies. When you're putting it on, it's kind of like you have 20 people you have to do. And you have so much time to do it. So it's like they stick the brush in the glue, and they go, and they put the appliance on. I mean, it's fast. At the end of the day, getting the glue off, it's like, it's very, very painful. I even had one girl pass out on me when I was taking it off.
Oh, no.
I was holding her up, and she just fell. I was like, wait a minute, what's going on here? She just fell. And I just, I sat her down and gave her some water or something. She was okay.
We've never really had any problem with people on the set having compunctions about the gore.
No.
We never have any problems recruiting zombies. Everyone wants to be a zombie, and not only do they want to be a zombie, but they want to be a zombie that has a horrible wound or a zombie that gets to eat.
They want to get in the front line, get close to the camera if they're eating something. Especially when they know what it is. Like, we also have these long homemade sausage things that look like these intestines.
Ew.
We're actually chewing on, bones and things from slaughterhouses. Been sitting around for a long time. But mostly it was turkey, chicken, bologna, ham, hot dogs.
Yeah.
Decorated with this barbecue sauce that looked a lot like blood. Mainly that, or they would be chewing on just pieces of rubber, you know, like, what do we have here? Here's a latex lower intestine here.
Oh,
Chunks of
lovely.
flesh. No, chunks of flesh was something that we would just whip together, and whenever we needed it, we would stick it in something. So
Oh no, not the tentacle monster
a piece
again.
of a person came off, or a head was torn off, you know. See, this stuff just stretches nice. Just,
Ooh, gross.
it's pretty sick, I know, but still has motor function.
Ugh.
To prove a point.
Ew.
That a zombie, even just
I made it a big one better.
would still function. I mean, this was attached to a guy to look like, you know, everything was scraped and cut away from him, leaving the brain intact. And the brain was stuck in here with all these electrodes sticking out of it. So this guy's strapped to a table, but he's moving around. His arms are flying about. He's jumping around, quivering, you know, and this is all that's left.
Oh my gosh, Mert, come on, man.
This is something we have in our heads. We don't know.
Are you guys
what it
setting
looks like, so we have to go
sea
to,
monsters loose?
use one of our books, like Head and Neck Anatomy. This is gross stuff, folks. But I want it to be realistic as hell. I mean, we could just throw some clumpy latex in there and splatter some blood around it. It would look okay, but there's something about, you know, seeing something that we don't know about, and when we see it, we go, oh, yeah, oh God, yeah, ooh, that's, that must be how it is. Nothing.
Asterisk ominous intense music starts playing in chat asterisk.
Of the real thing.
Ugh.
For the autopsy zombie, we would glue this
I can't even
inside,
look at that. That's so
tear a
nasty.
piece of this off and then wrap the real intestines around this. So that when he moved, the real intestines would slide off this, and then this would be left dangling, you know, outside of the body.
And sometimes it is hideous. I mean, sometimes those prosthetics are so seamless that...
That's a long one.
And you can't take it off right away. Maybe you need 3 or 4 takes, and they have to sit around with it. And just wearing the makeups themselves has got to be...
I know it a long one.
Spend the afternoon. The stuff that Tom does generally is very predictable. He's able to say, okay, here's the piece, and here's how it works, and this part of you is going to come off, and you'll feel blood, and your eye socket will fill up with warm fluid. Don't try to worry about it.
Ooh.
In Day of the Dead, there's this shovel scene where a zombie is actually top of his head sliced off with a shovel.
Oh,
sitting around thinking of ways
that
to kill.
that's not the
When I
top
was
of his
down here
head.
writing
That's
Day
the
of
like
Dead, he called me up one day and said, I think I can do this shovel gag.
most
We've
of
been
his
talking
head.
about it up here. Can you use a shovel gag somewhere? So I wrote in a shovel gag.
I put a blood tubing all the way through the handle of the shovel and had it come out on the back end of the shovel that you were not going to see. And we cut strategic holes in the tubing so it would spray blood against John's face, and the shovel was on him. Then we cut to the actor holding the shovel, okay, if I'm remembering correctly the storyboards. And he would make a grinding movement and then a down movement. Then we cut to the foam dummy that we built of John that would separate right here. And like a bowling ball,
Ew.
I would throw this other foam head, a duplicate of John.
Kicked up a stone. Oh, that's pretty good though.
Yeah, it became a contest in the set. You know, people were giving me scores, 9.4.
Zombie head bowling.
Let's chaos happen.
Saw somebody's head lopped off with a shovel. It's still alive. It's looking back and forth. The blood is, you know.
Longer than at Remio 18's 5-headed
Every
kraken.
guy that got rubbed out, leading right up to Rhodes, yeah.
Oh no!
What happened, Tasso, was that we would sit around and have a little conference and say, well, how are we going to kill Tasso?
7-headed kraken asterisk.
Tear his head off. Let's make it a spectacular death so we can go around saying, I'm the guy that got my head ripped off.
Meaning at Up's mercenary.
Oh my god, that's horrible.
Sometimes an effect will pop up that involves testing, okay? And I hate to put makeup on myself. I have nightmares. My nightmares are having glue in my armpits behind my knees, you know, just something where the skin, you know. It's just, I hate the feeling, you know.
That tentacle squid monster you spawned in chat with 7 heads.
I'll get an assistant and put glue on him.
Oh, yeah.
Or do a test on him. My assistant, Greg Nicotero, has been with me for the last couple of films. Poor guy, he'll be sitting minding his own business. Oh, Greg, I'm going to test this bullet hit in the head effect, okay?
In the original script, I had no dialogue or anything. I was just a soldier who got killed, and later on, my head comes back to life.
It is Harvick as a squid.
Ooh.
I remember walking into the shop and seeing my bald head there and Tom putting a beard on it to make it look like me. And then he put the wig on it. The more and more it resembled me, it got to be really scary. The day that they shot it.
Yeah, that has to be really freaky.
The day that Salah Hassan
Yummy.
came down to visit the set one day. And he stopped me and he was like, "That was your head right there." My God, he couldn't believe it. Tom has got me into the mood of playing practical jokes. So I said, "Let me take the head home." I said, "I want to play a joke with my family." So I took it home, and nobody knew, and I snuck him with his head under my shoulder and went into my room, and I put it on my bed. And I pulled all the cables behind the bed, and I'm laying behind the bed operating the head. I said, "Hey, Mom, come here a minute." So she comes walking in.
Bro.
Ah! She screams, she's like, and then she looked. She shook her head. Thanksgiving Day, she wouldn't even speak to me the rest of the day.
Oh, I don't blame her.
I mean, you used to be a nice person. Now you bring these heads home.
I've had reviews on Day of the Dead that
Hey, you just bringing all these kinds of heads home.
It just says that it should be taken out and burned on a pyre, and that maybe after time has passed, that people will forget the putrid glow that it put off while it was burning. Some people really do feel that way about it. On the other hand, there are people that revel in it. That's what Tom and I share. We will both.
You know what? Honestly, I would take myself out
when it's finished
too.
to the daily
Same.
and look at each other and giggle. I mean, we're having a good time, and I think that probably is what we do share in common, and that's why it's easy to keep that comic book texture on the surface.
Now we have Joe Pilato coming. Now how are we gonna? He's Rhodes. He's the main bad guy.
I've seen 1,000 of them. He's gonna die.
We want his death to be glorious, so let's tear him in half. You know, let's have the zombies like just tear him in half, and have him still be alive to see it happen, to suffer more. So we knew that when Joe Pilato arrived, that we were going to cast his body, his whole body, and wind up with a fake body of him that we can attach him to by putting him underground and attach the fake body to him, you know, and have him his real arms, his real face attached to a body that we're going to do nasty stuff to. So that's what we did, and then we filled it with guts.
Of course, Tom's philosophy is you can't get any better than the real stuff. If you have the real stuff, you're going to convince the audience that it's real. So one of my jobs was to call packing house. "Excuse me, do you sell intestines?" I'd be like, "Huh? What? What are you talking about?" Finally, I called
Excuse
around,
me?
and finally I found a place that sold pig intestines.
Unfortunately, in his case, those guts were part of a 5-gallon drum of guts that we had from the beginning of the movie until that we used over and over again and put them back in the refrigerator.
We had a week or so off over Christmas. We came back. Tom and I went out to the mine one day, and somebody had accidentally unplugged the refrigerator with the gut.
No.
In our shop. We walk into the shop. It's like.
Oh no!
But we had to do the effect, so I mean, we didn't have time to go out and get new stuff.
So I ended up being the person that would come trotting on set with my little pail of intestines. Everybody knew there's something coming to clear out of the way.
Greg became Gut Boy.
Oh, that's
Anytime it was
disgusting,
guts, Greg
man.
would put the respirator on, do the whole paper suit number, and put the gloves on, and he would handle all the guts. As we were loading them, you know, we put aftershave, I think it was canoe or something, on Joe's upper lip, you know, and on top of a respirator, you know, so he could be breathing that while we were stuffing the thing.
No, I won't need a raise then and now, lol.
Entrails, the way someone else might bring in their briefcase with, you know, pads and pencils.
And then when they tore him open, here's all these zombies with their makeup on who weren't protected by respirators.
Oh dear.
Who was one of the guys I trusted to be a zombie in the foreground, playing with the guts. He had his nose stuffed with cotton.
I take the wax earplugs that people use for gunshots and I stuff them up my nose. so that I don't have to smell them.
If I can grab an organ.
I perfected the technique of eating innards, and that is not to eat them like some people do. I'll open my mouth wide for a bite and like put them over here or under here or do anything just so that I don't have to put them in my mouth.
Scene 101, take one. Poor Joe was unprotected, and I have a videotape of saying, Joe, he's ready to heave.
Ew. Joe got him.
I think we kept
Look at everybody waving their hands. Like, woo, be you.
Of movie history. Yeah, me? Okay, so, you know, I mean, he knew it was bullshit. He knew we were priming him, we were conning him, but he also knew that, you know, it was true.
Part of Tom's charm on the set is putting people at ease, people that don't have experience with it. He's a charmer. He can really disarm you.
Obviously an idol to his fans, far more, I would say, than probably any other makeup artist. We get letters from readers in which they say they like all the leading makeup artists, like Dick Smith and Rick Baker and Rob Bottin, but there is a special allegiance to Tom Savini.
And sometimes I meet a fan who has a terrific portfolio, and the kid's like 19 years old. You know, when I was 19, I never heard of foam latex, you know. This guy's whipping it up, and it's a little aggravating, you know, to have wasted so much time. So what I do is I always ask them to send me copies of their stuff, and I start a file on them.
He always has had a strong rapport with horror movie fans. He's always attended conventions and made personal contact with fans.
I buy stuff too. You know, it's my okay. Little robots back there. You can hear them. We won't bring them out. I'm crazy. I buy all this stuff.
He became, to many of the fans, a symbol of a fan who made it.
I think everyone that works in the genre, anyone that's good, is in touch with their own fears somewhere. But I think Tom is probably very much in touch with those fears.
In many ways, I still have not grown up, and that's luckily for me where the magic still exists and how I can put it into things, you know what I'm saying? It's childish attitude, I think, is what makes things, you know, alive.
Whoa, that's scary.
Prime example of getting an assistant to do something that I don't want to do, would never do, can't do, afraid to do. It was the cockroaches. You know, we had 28,000 cockroaches in Creepshow. Before the scene when the folks crawl out of E.G. Marshall, there's just two guys underneath the set filling these large syringes with cockroaches.
Thanks to Tom, he built that bust, and it was a really good-looking bust, and we were able to literally force-feed the roaches through the thing.
The bugs are falling down, and they're being covered. There's stuff and roaches back in there.
There's just no way, when you're working with insects like that, to carefully plan a series of shots that relies on the insects behaving in any given way. Them roaches just don't take direction.
There were two entomologists.
Dim roaches won't take direction.
Who collected the bugs in Trinidad, brought them back, and had a vein where they would breed, 8,000 more than they collected. It was called the Roach Motel.
For the entomologists, the guys that were controlling the bugs, they'd stand in there and they'd let them crawl all over them. Although one guy freaked out once in a big scene when he had to dump a trash barrel full of them into a shot, and instead of going out the way he dumped the trash barrel, they came back up his arms and crawled all over him. He literally freaked out. Tom was really freaked by it. I don't think he got over his phobia at all.
Oh my God. Oh, I hate roaches.
That's wonderful. But the demon streak, I definitely have that because, as I talked to you before about enjoying scaring people, I'll jump out of my bed and scare the kids out front or something, or throw firecrackers out the window,
You'll be sitting in the living room, and all of a sudden I'll have this ton of firecrackers coming down the stairs, you know.
Roaches is like the nun thing, I can't stand it.
So I'd sneak around, and it was all just one kid, Billy Cronin. I knew if I got him first, then the word would spread. So I'd sneak up behind him and just scare. I mean, it's amazing that the kid didn't realize that this is another kid, and that he didn't, okay? So I'd sneak up and I'd grab him as a werewolf. And pretty soon I'd hear him running around. There's a werewolf in the eye!
He's great for doing that, for tricking and catching you totally off balance.
And I'm the type who lets spiders crawl on me, lol.
Love for his buddies.
I hate
A few spiders I don't mind touching. If they're like really big, I'm a little skittish about it. But small spiders, like little house spiders, cellar spiders, daddy long legs, you know, jumping spiders, stuff like that. Those I'm fine with. But other than those, I love them, I respect them, but I'm still skittish to touch them.
We pulled the sheet back, and there's Frankenstein lying in the bed. Whoa! She took off again, running away, you know. Much like I had a makeup kid in Vietnam. I would do scars on people, practice beards and things, you know. I made a set of goofy teeth and would slip them in every now and then. I made a set of fangs. Didn't realize how I was going to freak out the Vietnamese mama-san. So, you know, when someone turned around, there was this guy with fangs. So he must have just turned into that and ran away screaming, you know. One poor mama-san never came back. I felt bad about that. I enlisted in the Army to stay out of Vietnam and wound up at headquarters camp. For the most part,
Black widows are the no-no for me, cause you can never be too sure.
Oh yeah, those are the venomous spiders are the only ones that I don't mess with those. Like, usually I'm like, no, don't kill it. But if it's something venomous, I make an exception because you don't need anybody getting hurt. You don't need anybody getting bit by that.
Anatomically correct gore. Every now and then, you know, loading film or something, I would look around and it would get to me.
Yeah,
You come back to
understandable.
the States and guys just couldn't adjust to freedom, you know, again and all that. I mean, I adjusted easily, I thought. It was within a year I finally noticed a sunset and thought it was beautiful.
Did you know Cow A Lang family are venomous?
It didn't affect me as badly as it affects lots of other guys.
Is that a scorpion joke?
I've not been able to find a black widow anywhere. I never saw one with the red hourglass on it.
I've seen a couple.
Because he is a scorpion.
Yeah, scorpion. I've seen a couple of black widows.
I think Tom will probably be doing.
Bravura, you know, chutzpah. Showing off.
Yes, it a scorpion. Goth, did you get it?
Yes, I got it.
As a stuntman.
Yeah, I don't like ending bug, but yeah, for defense I feel valid, which I also use as a excuse for ending roaches since they carry disease.
Well, now the big ones, like in that movie clip, or you know that they were showing with the roaches there. Those are cockroaches. Those are actually, I don't mind those guys. If there was a bunch of them like that, I would definitely mind. But usually, I only ever see like one by itself. And I try to leave them alone, you know.
What is cold all over?
And
It is Sub-Zero.
yes. Those guys I don't mind so much. The ones that I definitely kill are the little German roaches, the little tiny ones, because those suckers do carry diseases, and they will multiply, millions and millions of them, and they will get into your food, they will get into your electronics, and they are nasty and disease-ridden. So, nah. If I see a little German cockroach, nope. I gotta end you, buddy.
It made a cameo. Got to add to this to my list at home.
It's always dangerous,
but at the same time it's exciting because it's dangerous.
It was a Stan Lee reference.
There's lots of stuff I wouldn't dream of doing. Like some of the stuff in Knight Riders, the Woody Heist, the guy who doubled me in Knight Riders, the first stunt he did for me with the bike flipping over and him landing on his head. He got hurt on that one.
Oh, dang.
It's a short lifespan.
Good luck for the helmet. He is Ghost Rider.
I'm sorry, one of my cats is throwing up. That's why I keep looking away.
Tom from
Goblin, are you alright?
makeup artist is that he went at it with gusto. He is a horror movie renaissance man.
I guess she's okay.
Swag.
Swag. Fencing!
Show me your scar. What scar? The scar you got today. Here's my scar from fencing.
Are we gonna start showing Savini scars? Because I got a lot of them.
He's doing exactly what he wants to do.
Is the cat vomit in your room?
Making enough
Oh no, I'm in the little office area in our big kitchen.
He would be happier in the early days of the studios when he could
The cat's off in the
play the role.
laundry
My
room,
own
and I
opinion
just
is that Tom
heard her
is a
gagging.
charismatic actor.
I love these bikes. These bikes make me very happy. And I love what I do.
Pardon me, but you also love yourself.
Well, that's not so bad either. You should try something. Man came up to me one day and said, 5th grade, she said, we want you to walk around from classroom to classroom doing a little skit for this bake sale we're having. I said, okay. The problem is you're going to dress up like a woman. Forget it. My peers talked me into it, and I did it, and I'm glad. I mean, they called me Gloria.
Is a Kung Lao.
It was like, that's what it first came out of me, and I realized acting, I could do acting.
I slot him as a Tom Savini type. I'm a guy, just an easygoing, contemporary guy.
You really are.
Whoop.
The Knight Riders came about, and George went to Hollywood to audition some soap opera.
If Kung Lao was in the video, I would make a Kung Lao neck joke just to annoy him.
Knight Riders, he's
Oh,
down
come
in
on.
Pittsburgh, and I read for him. And he cast me immediately. I was the first person he cast. Greg sees it and says, you know, I can't tell you if you're doing a good acting job or not because this is you, you know. He says, this is you, which is the highest compliment. You know, Knight Riders was a breeze. It was the best summer I ever had, riding motorcycles around, playing with swords, fencing. Come on, it was excellent, you know. Groupies, you know. As an actor, you know, oh, God, it's intoxicating. But being a director is even better. That's totally intoxicating.
And who is better to direct a
You
film
got
that
to
has a lot
admit
of
it would
effects
be
in
funny to see him get annoyed.
it, as someone who knows effects?
Ooh.
This was the fastest full-scale creature, you know, I've ever done or had to do. Plus, I directed the episode. So one of my worries was a lot of things. This is my directorial debut. I wanted the creature in my episode that I directed to be, you know, dynamite. I don't know, I just started sculpting a kid. I made her bow-legged because I was bow-legged when I was a kid. I still am. I sculpted her in 2 weeks total, you know, from head to toe. I knew I wanted her to have long nails and have bony little fingers, you know, and a skull-like head with the prominent bones, and these are albino eyes from a taxidermist supply place. Teeth, her teeth to be jagged, so it looked like she could bite you. They're really nasty. I knew she had to be short to fit into the closet. And I wanted her to be, you know, ugly, but not supernatural.
Dr. Fenner,
Yes?
there was a rat in my room last night.
Rats? Only rats in this house are the ones I keep in formaldehyde.
You know, first you think she's a rat.
Owie!
Then you think it's a kid. Then you discover this thing, which turns out to be this guy's deformed daughter.
Yeah, she's such a pretty little girl. Yes, you're so beautiful. Do you know what? I don't know. What am I going to do with you?
So every time you see Lizzie in that Tales from the Dark Side episode, inside the closet, there's always 6 guys somewhere. Like you see her around Fritz Weaver's leg, there's 6 guys down there, making her arms move. Someday computers are going to do all this, if they don't do everything.
Oh, jeez.
The proof is...
What? How did she die?
When the end comes on the screen, if it worked, you know, I mean, you know, I can expound about what a director should be, you know, and Hitchcock was great, you know, but what counts is what I produce, and so far it's been getting, you know, accolades, so.
His instincts as an artist are, you know,
I guess she wanged her head hard enough
if you
on
have
the
the choice
floor.
of being just an actor, just a special effects guy, just a filmmaker, or all of the above, you know, I would want to choose all of the above, and all of the above is available when you direct. What was the line in All That Jazz? To be on the wire is to be alive. The rest is waiting. It's like when you're in a movie, that's the highest you can go as far as my career objectives are doing, you know, and that's on the wire. The rest is just waiting for the next call, you know.
Oh, we've hit 2 hours, guys.
A very fascinating personality in that he's got a strong physical presence.
He's a magnetic guy. He's very generous with himself, and he gives fans what they...
Oh, that's nasty.
You can really see the improvement in each of his films as it goes along. He just gets better and better.
So, you know, I can't imagine a set without Tom.
He's really, really easy to work with. I mean, I'm talking to friends of mine now who have been doing other projects, and they call me and they miss working with Tom.
So you guys want some cake?
Oh yeah, that scene from Maniac where the guy, where he jumps on the hood of the car and blasts him with a shotgun. That was Tom Savini was playing that character, and he made a you know, like a dummy of himself. And when you know, he's when it comes to the actual shot where the dummy gets, you know, blasted, that's actually Tom Savini himself jumping up and pulling the trigger. So he's basically shooting himself in the face. Little fun fact about that little scene.
Sometimes it's hard to handle. For some people, I don't know, he gets a little big, a little large. For some people, that sort of scares them.
You know, we talked about nightmares, and the nightmares that I have, my insecurity dreams, the nightmares I give, you know, and the people come and tell me about. We talked of how I feel like I'm an assassin sometimes, you know. I load up my car, go places and kill people.
Oh.
Well, the people that I killed in movies, and the little monsters and things I created, well, they're here. Some of those people that I killed are up in my attic, you know.
their bodies, their foam, latex, and fiberglass bodies, and the creatures that I've done are all around me, you know?
Ew. Oh, that's so gross.
I don't know, I guess a nightmare that I haven't had is, now what would happen if I'm lying in bed some night and all these people that I've killed off decide to come back and take their revenge?
Oh, you mean like that ending scene in Maniac there?
Are you wondering what might happen in that case? Well, I'll be ready for them.
Yeah. Good documentary. Give that a like. Oh, let's see. Maybe we'll watch these. I don't know. We've been live for about 2 hours. I don't know. That might be good for now. Those 2 documentaries. So, yeah, I think I'll call it. It's getting kind of late anyway. So, guys, let's see. Yeah, okay. Thanks so much for joining me on this Saturday chill stream. I will try to stream tomorrow as well. Maybe we'll try to finish that Resident Evil Chris
Bye,
run.
Goth.
Yes.
Okay, bye. Good night.
Oh. So yeah, guys. Links for the Discord and the YouTube are on my
Thanks
Twitch
for the
page.
chill stream.
Yes, of course. And I'm glad you were
Can
able
we
to make
raid
it.
out?
I don't know who's live. Chunky Lotus, Iron Mouse, Sea Dog. Merc, you still there? You got anybody? Alright, let's see. Slash raid.
Can we out someone so just chatting?
Let's see. Ah! Nope, can't do that one, okay.
I'm not sure, haha.
Hang on, I'm trying a couple. Is that how you spell it?
What about miserably?
Ah. Well, it'll have to be them. Because the 2 I tried didn't work. Some people don't have their raid thing turned on, so... Holy crap, I have 9 viewers right now. Wow, I think that's the most I've ever had. Hey! Oh, well, went back down to 5. Yeah, we'll just do that one. Let's see. Okay. And we'll say choke on 'em. That'll be our raid message.
She is playing video games now. Choke
There.
on M.
Yeah. There's your raid message, guys. Alright, so yeah. I'll see you guys in the next stream, hopefully tomorrow. So, I love you all. Hang on, let me set it. Alright. Love you all. Bye. Oh, hang on. 2, 1. Alright, bye!